How safe is TikTok? Jennifer Lopez, Elizabeth Warren, and the cast of High School Musical are just some of the famous faces having a blast on the video sharing app. But are all these fun dances, challenges, and pranks as harmless as they sound?
There are serious things that we need to consider about the app.
Analyst Fergus Ryan thinks TikTok may not be what it seems.
I know I sound like the fun police. It's a great app. It's just unfortunate that it's owned and operated by a company that has the Chinese Communist Party looking over their shoulder all the time.
TikTok's parent company ByteDance is based in China, and it's just one of the many thriving tech companies in the country.
They're very innovative, but the Chinese government knows this, and in recent years they have taken many steps to make sure that they have ultimate control over these tech companies. And the way they do that is by ensuring that these tech companies have Chinese Communist Party committees running inside the companies, and they have oversight over what the company is doing. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're making the business decisions or making sort of granular decisions about how certain apps work. But it does mean that every time these companies are making new products, they always have the Chinese Communist Party looking over their shoulder.
ByteDance was most recently ordered to take down their new workplace messaging app, Feishu, under claims that users could access posts on Facebook and Twitter through the app. Those platforms, along with others like YouTube and Google, are banned in China. So why should TikTok be any different?
They want the platform to be light, entertaining, and funny, and they have made several statements about how they don't really want it to be a political space. Now, that may make sense back in China by law, and because of the censorship system that operates there, they have to censor a lot of political speech.
Many believe that censored content includes videos of the pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong or anything related to the LGBTQ community.
It may be an uncontroversial thing in China for these companies to say, hey, we don't want politics on our platforms, we just want it to be entertainment. That just doesn't work outside of China. These companies, as they expand out into the world, they can't just accept that consumers and citizens around the world are going to accept that that same censorship logic is going to be applied to them.
TikTok, however, denies the censorship, telling InsideEdition.com, diversity is one of the core strengths of the TikTok community, and we could not be prouder of our large and active LGBTQ user base. Privacy as a concern for consumers is also something that may not translate as the app goes global. In a country where mass surveillance, both on the streets and online, is commonplace, it's safe to assume that applies to the data collected by TikTok. And if you have any doubts, just take a look at TikTok's terms and conditions.
TikTok requires the user to accept a huge number of permissions. Now, a lot of those permissions on your phone make sense. It's a video sharing app, so of course it wants access to your camera. But there are other permissions that it requires that are a little more puzzling. So, for example, permission to access your location data on your phone, the GPS coordinates of where you are. And when you look at how the app works, that doesn't seem to make a huge amount of sense because there's nothing in the app that indicates where you're located makes any difference over how you use the app or how the app responds to you. So a lot of that data is being vacuumed up by TikTok. And the concern is that that data is being sent back to Beijing. Now, TikTok has said that the data is being stored in Singapore and the United States and is not stored in Beijing. But that does not mean that Beijing-based engineers are not accessing that data in order to make the app better. Now, the reason why that is a worry is because in China, there is a whole suite of national security laws that say if you are an individual or a company, you have to cooperate with the authorities on intelligence gathering work. So there is no firewall between these companies and the data they hold and the Chinese authorities. So that means that this data, all of this data that this app is collecting, could be used by Chinese intelligence services. And the data that these apps collect, it really paints a very, very vivid picture of everyday people's lives, what you do every day, what time you wake up, where you go, who you talk to. This is very, very valuable information for foreign intelligence services.
Ryan says it doesn't just stop there.
It really is an AI company. It puts a lot of emphasis on the data collection it does and how it crunches that data. So it's not just looking at what hashtags you use, it's looking at your face. It is analyzing your face and feeding that into a facial recognition algorithm. They may even at some stage know what you're going to look like. If you apply these filters to your face, it can figure out what you're going to look like when you're an older person. So if authorities in Beijing have access to that data, then they're able to do the same thing that advertisers on the product are doing, and really hone down to understanding a huge amount of information about people of interest to them.
Now, why would this matter to an average American teenager filming a dance to Doja Cat's Say So?
Maybe right now they're teenagers and they're just putting up funny content on TikTok. But that data, if it is being stored and accessed by foreign governments, then that can be easily accessed once this person does go on to have an internship at the White House or go and work at Congress. If they work in the government, if they work for the military, if they work in sensitive parts of the economy.
It's something TikTok users may want to keep in mind the next time they record themselves doing the renegade.
If we're worried about the kind of data and the capabilities that these companies have now, just use your imagination to think, where is this technology going in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years? What is this technology going to be capable of doing? We have to think ahead to that possibility.
For InsideEdition.com, I'm Johanna Lee.